I was shaped by the hands of legacy, forged in the fires of racing. The truth is, what you're made of is what you're made to do.
Dark web globally and let you instantly protect your Experian credit file from identity thieves. Plus, get up to $1 million in identity theft insurance. Try Experian free for 30 days at Experian.com/protect.
What does that say? Cincinnati what?
Here we go.
Here we go. Welcome back, everyone. You are looking at the Bailey, where all the most raucous and vociferous of the FC Cincinnati fans gather. And they have really made a name for themselves. 2,000 pack into that end of the ground, and they played a big part in the last round. FC Cincinnati, the first ever big battle of Ohio, taking on the Columbus Crew from just up the road and beating them thanks to this header in front of the Bailey from the Senegalese striker GB. The bad news, Taylor, for FC Cincinnati is GB's not available tonight.
Yeah, and they'll say it's a 3-5-2, but it's going to play more of a 5-3-2 with Josu, the Barcelona Academy product. Technical player, very good with his left foot. He'll get forward more often than Boehner, but it's all about the three in the midfield, Stevenson, Dominguez, and Quinn. How do they deal with the midfield of the Chicago Fire tonight?
There is Alan Koch, who took over from John Hansen just before preseason started for FC Cincinnati. Remember, this is a club just in their second season of existence. As you can see, 5-5-5 in league play at the moment in USL. And opposing him tonight, Veljko Paunovic. And talk about transformations, a man also in his second season. Had a trying first year at the helm, but what a transformation in his second year in charge, Taylor. They are flying high in the league and going well in the cup too.
Well, and he laughed at me Monday night when I asked him, are you going to take this game seriously? He said, we don't have the luxury. We haven't had great seasons the last 2 or 3 years. We want to win a trophy. We want to play in CONCACAF Champions League. No Dax McCarty, no David Akam, as they are with their respective national teams. But that is a strong lineup led by 14 goal scorer and MLS regular season Nikolic up front.
Now, there's one man in particular playing tonight for FC Cincinnati, playing in his hometown, who knows Chicago very well indeed. For more on that, let's go down to Julie Stewart-Biggs.
Well, thanks so much, Adrian. FC Cincinnati's Austin Berry told me he still looks at this bobblehead from his 2012 MLS Rookie of the Year campaign in Chicago and feels bittersweet about the experience, saying playing for the Fire were the 2 best years of my life, but I got complacent. I wasn't focused on the moment. I was always looking for the next challenge, which really hurt my development. After being traded from Chicago, going to Philadelphia, then South Korea. The defender finds himself back in his hometown of Cincinnati. He said, "This is a second life. It's a rebirth. There is new energy because my goals are greater than myself. I'm here to help people realize this team can play in MLS and that these players are ready for a bigger spotlight." But he said, "I want Chicago to know that they shouldn't have traded me. I want to stick it to them. The best way to do that is by winning."
He's described it as his personal Super Bowl, hasn't he? Thanks very much, Julie. The scene set, Nippert Stadium radiating with anticipation. Will the form book hold, or will the form book be cast aside? It's the crucial tension at the heart of every cup game around the globe when teams from different divisions collide. Away we go with the home team, FC Cincinnati, in their blue and orange uniforms to the Chicago Fire, the men in red, going from right to left on your screens. The two teams somewhat familiar with each other. They did meet in pre-season down in Florida. That was a 3-2 win for the Chicago Fire, literally days after Alan Koch had taken over the reins. And what a story the Fire have been. We talk about the Cincinnati story, but the Chicago Fire have already gone from doormats in the Eastern Conference for the last 3 seasons to genuine contenders for everything this year, it appears. Having to do without, as we say, David Akam and Dax McCarty tonight. They'll be preparing for the Ghana-US game on Saturday. But otherwise, pretty much a full-strength lineup for Veljko Paunovic. Some interesting decisions as well for Alan Koch to make that we will get into as we see Chicago try and launch their first attack. There is Matt Boehner to intervene. Player down in the centre circle is Kadeem Dakers, and he's one of the changes tonight in the absence of GB. Another man with some ties to the Chicago Fire, once drafted by Frank Yallop of the Fire. Ball inside is from Matt Boehner. Play a 3-man centre-back system, don't they, Taylor? The FC Cincinnati team under Alan Koch, and 2 marauding fullbacks, Boehner on one side and Josu, the Spaniard, on the other.
Well, it was the preseason game against the Chicago Fire where head coach believed that, you know what, they struggled with crosses. They lost 3-2, all 3 goals coming off of crosses, so he felt like that the system that fits their roster better is with 3 in the back. He'll say it's a 3-5-2, but both of those wingbacks, Adrian, they'll sit in defensively in this kind of shape and try to allow Chicago to keep the ball in their defensive third and make it very compact trying to play through the middle.
Well, there's Juninho. And his first touch, Johan Kappelhoff wide to Drew Connor. Chicago homegrown product. And Bastian Schweinsteiger. A ripple of delight went round this stadium when his name was announced in the starting lineup. Kappelhoff to Jonathan Campbell.
Well, and I think that's one of the things you're going to see today from Chicago Fire's Kappelhoff. Technically, he's very good. He can step into the midfield and give them a numbers-up situation.
Connor's cross. A little bit of uncertainty there by Mitch Hildebrandt, but decided to hold his ground, and it was the right decision. Good chance tonight for Arturo Alvarez. You saw him there on your screen. Matt Boehner, Cincinnati born and bred. Like Ashton Berry, who's on the ball. Berry, the man Julie was telling you about, trying to resuscitate his career in his hometown. And how many athletes genuinely get the chance to do that, play in their own hometown at the birth of a new professional franchise too? Berry, one of the first players taken.
And also against a franchise where you won MLS Rookie of the Year, and then they told you a year later you weren't fit for their plans. Austin Berry, though, over the last year, I think former head coach John Harkes had a big part in it, has become a little bit better of a passer and technically sound coming out of the back. But Chicago's going to want a high press. So the key here for Cincinnati is when they do win possession is how quickly can they get into the opposite end. They want to play a little bit more direct than Chicago Fire will. They've got to be a threat, though, Adrian.
Yeah.
If they're going to come here at home, sit in and defend for 90 minutes, I think that's too difficult of a task tonight.
Well, they almost played the classic underdog game, didn't they, in the last round against the Columbus Crew? They did dig in, they rode their luck for a while, they took one of the few chances that came their way and then defended as if their lives depended upon it. It was enough to send the Crew home. But this might be a different level of challenge altogether, given the sort of form the Fire are in. And Polster getting a rare midfield start.
Different role for him. I think one of the turnarounds for Chicago Fire this year mid-season was you and I doing the game at Chicago against Seattle. Matt Polster then was integrated into the team as a right back.
Well, here's Schweinsteiger looking menacing.
Good tackle.
Well, talking to Schweinsteiger last night, he referenced that Seattle game as really the launch pad for what they've gone on to do in the last month and a half, as that cross is launched in from deep. That was a 4-1 win at home against the defending MLS champions on a Saturday night. That's a good touch from Koenig, who's on his way. Actually, Koenig's making the dash into the middle. There's Aidan Quinn, who had turned the corner smartly, and Koenig showing his appreciation. Danny Koenig, who's actually Danish and a relatively new arrival here in Cincinnati, was signed in May. Lovely turn from Quinn, though, and a ripple of excitement here at Nippert Stadium as Cincinnati find themselves on the front foot for the first time. Here's Josu, the young Spaniard. A sided goal. Well, not a bad effort with the left foot. He is a Barcelona Youth Academy product, Josu.
Well, and even over last weekend against St. Louis FC, he did a wonderful job of getting into the final third. FC Cincinnati will want him getting forward more often than Boehner, but the key there was Aidan Quinn. Aidan Quinn on that long run early on, and then he's got to be somewhat of a factor in possession for FC Cincinnati. He can't defend for 90 minutes long. Son of a good player himself, and Brian Quinn, former U.S. international.
Once upon a time a coach in MLS as well, Brian Quinn, in the early days of San Jose. Aidan Quinn, who was drafted by the Philadelphia Union, never played in MLS. And you come across those sort of stories when you look up and down teams like Cincinnati across the USL. So many players who've been so close to making it at MLS level.
Yeah, but some of it is just luck, it's timing, you know, it's human nature. The guys like Aidan Quinn and Eric Stevenson, they believe they're good enough to play in Major League Soccer. They just didn't get the right opportunity. You never know tonight who's watching. Wonderful opportunity for some of those players to prove themselves.
Here's a man who doesn't need to prove himself, Bastian Schweinsteiger. Kapelov.
I don't know, the jury's still out on Schweinsteiger for me.
Think he might make it. Well, he's on the ball here. Service 2, the cross coming in, all the way through. Alvarez trying to make something happen. Arturo Alvarez, but good solid tackle by Matt Boehner. Boehner sticking to his task there. They will leave the throw for Brandon Vincent. Vincent's throw, trying to target DeLeo. Jonathan Campbell. He's found playing time harder to come by, hasn't he? Set rookie records last year for Chicago, Jonathan Campbell. Only 2 starts in the league this year.
I just think early on in the season, Adrian, he looked disconnected. You know, he wasn't as good of a passer, and that is something Veljko Paunovic, especially when Schweinsteiger was added to the team, wanted more from his 2 center backs. But Campbell's also been good in late game situations, defending set pieces when they move to a 5-back system.
Well, they're attacking that right-hand side again. It's a run inside with real intent from Drew Connor, the young right-back. Connor's come up through the Chicago Fire system, hasn't he? The U16s, the U18s. Now the chase is on. To be some smart reaction work from Kapelov. Lampson on a little journey with Koenig breathing down his neck. Nemanja Nikolic, an excellent sharp return pass there for Polster. DeLu for Chicago. Schweinsteiger arriving to provide the option and the cross. Connor from distance. Was it a cross? Was it a shot? Actually, it was Juninho, wasn't it?
Well, and that's what's going to happen a lot tonight. You're going to see a lot of this setup, FC Cincinnati with a ton of bodies in front of Juninho and Schweinsteiger, and it's going to be difficult for Nikolic to find that space against three center backs. So you need Juninho or Schweinsteiger to maybe step up from 25 yards and try to draw those two or three center backs out and then play into the seams.
We've certainly seen him produce the goods from that sort of distance, haven't we? It is his MLS career.
And that's one of the things that has surprised me in a positive way from Veljko Paunovic, is that I asked the question, are you going to sit Juninho, Dax McCarty, or Schweinsteiger? You can't really play all three. It doesn't give you the right balance. He's done that. He has sat Juninho in recent weeks, and he's brought some, I think, depth to this team, and every single player believes that every time they go to training, they're playing for their jobs. That's something that has really changed the complexion of this Chicago Fire team. I mean, they went out and spent a lot of allocation money to get Juninho. Now here he is, the odd man out with Dax McCarty and Schweinsteiger leading the charge.
Still only 28 as well, Juninho, the Brazilian. Meanwhile, at the other end, this is Josu. Flight in the free kick. It's a comfortable take for Matt Lampson.
Well, and that's such a high line from the Chicago Fire. Josu can't float a ball in like that. That is Cupcake City for Matt Lampson.
Lampson very much the established number one now for Chicago. Man who's had to be so patient, waiting his chance. Sean Johnson, remember, moving away in the off-season to New York City. You mentioned it, Taylor. The Chicago Fire organization have targeted this competition. They're a team that have won the Open Cup 4 times in their history. If they won it again, they would set a modern-day record and tie an all-time record for 5 wins. They've already had to get past one lower division opponent to get here tonight. They went to St. Louis and won by 1-0. A wonder goal that night from Louis Solignac. But then had to hold on at the end. It was nervy for them in Fenton, Missouri. Sure, an old stomping grounds of yours, Taylor, there.
It's amazing they're even playing. They had such bad floods there earlier this year, Adrian. It was something to see. But I thought Schweinsteiger yesterday in the hotel was pretty insightful about playing lower division teams in his time with Bayern Munich.
Yep.
And he said, you've got to be focused. This is their cup final today. You have to be aware of the situation. You've also got to have great patience because they're going to want to defend for their lives. He didn't seem like it was a day off, did he?
Not at all. He was all in, saying cups are the quickest route to a championship. And he scored his first ever Bayern Munich goals playing in the German Cup.
So this is one of the scenarios today, and you can see Schweinsteiger try to push on DeLeu, and now Drew Connor, the right back's pushed real high up. They've got to have some kind of penetrating run from the midfield. And that's what Schweinsteiger's begging for right now from DeLeu, Nikolic, and even Drew Connor in front of him, or even Arturo Alvarez.
Yeah, not too much doubt about that. Free kick coming his way. Mitch Hildebrandt in goal. FC Cincinnati, the USL goalkeeper of the year last year. Schweinsteiger trying to get near post and just routinely turned behind there. Lead to the first corner of the game. Plenty of support from Chicago. Not quite as much, of course, as we saw from Columbus. They had a little further to come across the Midwest. Still pretty vocal there. Left-footed delivery, far post header. Brandon Vincent escaped attention.
Oh, and Vincent found himself wide open this back post. Half man marking, half zone defending there on the set piece from FC Cincinnati. Harrison Delbridge needs to do a better job of being aware of that back post run.
Quarter of an hour gone if you're just joining us at Nippert Stadium, the venue, the home of this remarkable story that continues to develop for a club who only played their first game 15 months ago. FC Cincinnati. That is still not even 2 years ago. The just initial announcement of the team's existence was made. Right from the word go, they've made people sit up and take notice. They've really captured the imagination of this city. A city that has two major league teams in it and hoping to add a third. This is Schweinsteiger charting a path through. Great chance for the Fire! And an emergency clearance there, saving what was a surefire goal.
And this is how you're going to break down FC Cincinnati. Slashing runs, great run forward from Arturo Alvarez, and DeLeu coming back post. How good is this from Boehner on the back post? DeLeu's in, he's got to come in there. Great last-ditch defending from Matt Boehner.
Boehner across to rescue Cincinnati. The ball was not quite precise enough, wasn't it, towards DeLeu. Danger not removed, though. In comes the cross, and again, that was a big header from Justin Hoyt. Hoyt, a hugely experienced defender, anchoring the centre of this three-man centre-back line tonight for Cincinnati. Schweinsteiger is at it again. Seen a lot of the ball early on. That's clever work to retrieve it. And again, Chicago have to settle for a corner.
I'm not sure what Josu was thinking there.
Well, let Drew Connor just go right by him, didn't they?
Right, but even more importantly, right before that, he's got the ball. He's in between the ball and Drew Connor. He lets Connor run right around him. Josu's got to be more aware inside his own 18 defending.
Already the third corner of the game for the Fire. For a better angle this time, Schweinsteiger kept it low. A little flick on. Away from Delbridge. The shot still there to be taken! And somehow it's cleared. Combination of Boehner again and goalkeeper Hildebrandt. Matt Polster had a really good look at goal.
And he has absolutely no idea how Harrison Delbridge gets a touch on this. The ball deflects right to him, 12 yards out. FC Cincinnati already 18 minutes here at home, defending for their lives. How about that ball kid right there? Hey, what'd you do tonight, Cincinnati? I actually just gave Schweinsteiger a high five.
Schweinsteiger again opting for the shorter corner and the better angle. Brandon Vincent. Around the back goes Alvarez. And it's unrelenting pressure at the moment on Cincinnati's goal as they defend the end in front of the Bailey. There's Austin Berry. As Julie told you, the former Rookie of the Year in MLS for the Chicago Fire. Scored the first ever winning goal here at Nippert as well. Clever from Alvarez. Juninho with time to settle. They are literally circling the wagons here at the moment, the Fire. Cincinnati with all 11 men back, trying to repel them. And a rare misplayed pass from Schweinsteiger, who's furious with himself.
Yeah, but eventually the dam will break, Adrian. And that FC Cincinnati, the three in the midfield, I said it was the key tonight, and I still believe so, is that if you're going to defend with five, that's fine. But Stevenson, Quinn, and Dominguez, some of them have to get in. The possession numbers don't lie.
Well, they're Barcelona-esque, aren't they?
Right, but at some point, that's fine, but you've got to have more pressure in the midfield if you're FC Cincinnati, because the last thing you want is your 3 in the midfield sitting on top of your 5 in the back and allow Schweinsteiger to dictate the tempo for 90 minutes.
Well, a rare foray forward for the home team at the moment, which they will try and make the most of. Matt Boehner, of course, forced to play without the fulcrum of their attack tonight. The timing couldn't have been worse to lose GB, big Senegalese striker. Picked up an ankle injury over the weekend, was not able to recover. And he's the man that has really brought Cincinnati to tonight, almost single-handedly. They've had to go through 3 rounds of Open Cup action just to get here, and all of them were 1-0 home wins, and all 3 occasions GB was the man who got the goal. They beat AFC Cleveland, an NPSL team, and then Louisville City, their big USL rivals from just down the road, before their epic night against the Columbus Crew. Schweinsteiger able to fend off Kadim Dakers, and Kadim forced to lunge in and bring him down. Schweinsteiger running the show, isn't it?
Yeah, but he gave the ball away sloppily, and so then immediately he reacts. The only way right now FC Cincinnati is going to get an opportunity is if the ball's played through the middle of Chicago and they have a sloppy giveaway and allow the speed and the pace of FC Cincinnati going the other way.
More possession here for the men in red. Alvarez's ball, though, going astray. Chance to relieve some pressure. Aidan Quinn to Josu. Seeking out Eric Stevenson, who wears number 10. Another player with MLS experience in his past. He was a highly regarded draft pick by the Red Bulls, wasn't he, under Mike Pecky? And then injuries just really took a toll on Stevenson.
Yeah, but part of the issue was Eric Stevenson never told Coach Mike Pecky about his hip injury. Then he came here, had hip surgery. So that was one of those players coming out of Akron where I think Mike Pecky and the Red Bull staff at the time had high hopes for him, but the hip problem just really derailed that MLS career.
It was very nearly career-ending as well, that hip surgery. As Eric Stevenson back, he's barely played this season.
I will say that is a little surprising of the FC Cincinnati lineup tonight, Adrian. I mean, when was the last time, and you and I have done some Open Cup games, where a USL team almost says their game on the weekend is more important?
Well, certainly they've been stressing that it's just as important as this is. Kadim Dakers on his way. Very good recovering work, though, from Alvarez. He really snuffed out any sort of danger. Yeah, when we look at the players on the bench for Cincinnati, the players with MLS experience, the likes of Corbin Bone, another ex-Fire player, Alan Koch deciding to leave him on the bench, Jimmy McLaughlin, former Philadelphia Union player, Andrew Wiedemann,
Kenny Walker,
the former LA Galaxy player. So there's a lot of MLS experience on the Cincinnati bench tonight. As Taylor mentioned, they do have games coming up this weekend, and they are in the thick of a playoff race in the USL, but still, interesting decision. Midway point of the first half, so glad you could be with us for the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, the earliest stage of the competition we've ever been able to bring you on ESPN, the round of 16. Remember, FC Dallas, the defending holders of the competition. They won it in thrilling style last year against the New England Revolution. Have to go back to 1999 for the last second division team to win the Open Cup. That was the Rochester Rhinos. Charleston Battery did make the final in 2008 but lost. This is Alvarez losing his man. Now, can Cincinnati get something going? They can't. Crowded out.
It's almost as if the atmosphere is nervous. I mean, watching the USL games, especially the highlights, and even over the last couple of nights, Adrian, this crowd's usually louder. They're more intimidating. It's almost as if they're nervous.
DeLeo dragging his shot wide. While we have a moment, let's go down to Julie.
Adrian, we were curious what this crowd would be like compared to Portland and Seattle when we just were in Portland. I'll say that the soccer IQ is so high down here. You hear them cheering, you see them standing whenever FC Cincinnati has possession. They're booing when they don't. And when speaking with head coach Alan Koch, he said the team can feel the energy, especially the Bailey, the supporter section. It might be smaller, but it certainly is loud. He said the energy, they truly are a 12th man. This is big time. What Cincinnati is doing is not just impressive for American soccer, but globally.
Thanks, Julie. There's always been a feeling, Taylor, that this is a soccer city, Cincinnati. You mentioned the teams that have tried to dig in here in the past and come up short.
But to add to Julie's point, talking with a couple of the Columbus Crew players, they compared it a lot to Orlando City in the first couple of years when they were playing in the football stadium. It's been a little, dull's the wrong word, but there is a nervous anxiety to this game, and I think because in large part, a lot of them believe they're playing with house money tonight.
Yeah. The Columbus Crew was the big one, wasn't it, to win that? Perhaps a recognition that this challenge is a severe one for this team tonight. As we've seen evidence through the first 25 minutes, been almost all one-way traffic. Seems to be a question of when and not if the fire will break through. It's Alvarez. Their 6th corner of the game already. So the one man we haven't seen too much of yet for the Chicago Fire is Nemanja Nikolic, the top scorer. Cincinnati have managed to keep him off the ball. That cross from Vincent will land on the roof of the net. Busy time for us in terms of games all around the country in different competitions. Back to MLS we go on Friday. We'll be at Rio Tinto Stadium for Real Salt Lake against Orlando City. That's a 9:30 Eastern start on Friday. MLS presented by Audi, also streaming live on the ESPN app.
Interesting news in Orlando City, huh?
Yeah.
Matias Perez Garcia and Kyle Larin. Kyle Larin comes in and Perez Garcia is gone.
Interesting times indeed for Jason Kreis. Orlando, of course, a team who have made the journey that Cincinnati are perhaps trying to make from the USL to MLS. Done so very successfully. Schweinsteiger over the top.
But you bring up Nikolic, and we haven't even called his name tonight, but every time he's looking to make a run or show into the ball, there's 2 defenders around him. So I think the key for Nikolic tonight, Adrian, is for 90 minutes just being aware. There's going to come an opportunity where there's a turnover. He's on the back shoulder, which is something he does very well. But it's those kind of evenings where it can be very frustrating. But all he needs is one chance, as he has shown throughout Major League Soccer. What did Schweinsteiger say yesterday? 12 yards and in, he's clinical.
Yes. What an acquisition. He's been 14 goals, 3 more than anyone else in the league.
I still think, though, he can evolve his game a little bit more of adding some in possession, particularly in Major League Soccer play. But the one thing I've noticed over the last couple of weeks with Chicago Fire is that he's starting to learn how to play with David Accam. Last weekend, what David Accam had,
yeah.
3 goals and an assist. I think that understanding of the timing of runs and the space that David Accam needs, if those two get on the same page, watch out.
Yeah, David Accam has gone to 10 goals for the season. The interesting thing about the Fire is that the top scorers in MLS have scored 31 goals, but they've only had 5 different goal scorers. All the goals coming from Nikolic, Accam, Solignac's weighed in with 4, Schweinsteiger with a couple, and Alvarez has 1. So they don't have many at all from their midfield or defensive core.
No, but if you've got 5 guys
Yeah.
that score 7 goals or more, does it really matter?
Guess you don't need it. Kadeem, skip around his man. His man was Jonathan Campbell. Campbell sticking to his task dutifully. Kadeem, who played for local rivals Louisville City last year and really caught the eye on his visits here in USL games. As I mentioned, drafted by the Fire. 65th overall back in 2014 by Frank Yallop, who called him the steal of the draft and then never played him. Kadeem So from Queens, New York. His family's Jamaican. As you mentioned, Chicago Fire coming off that 4-0 walloping of Orlando on Saturday, the biggest win of the season. And how about the run they've put together in all competitions? 8 wins and 2 draws, unbeaten in their last 10. The Chicago Fire. Momentum has been snowballing for them, hasn't it? Lamson. What little work he has had to do has been mainly with his feet, Matt Lamson. Matt Polster wasn't quite expecting that ball coming his way, and he stays down. It was a sharp challenge for what appeared to be a 50-50 ball. Alvarez over the top, but that's a gift for Mitch Hildebrandt. Half an hour gone at Nippert Stadium. FC Cincinnati on the back foot for most of the game so far, but still hanging in there. Campbell back to Lamson.
But see, now here's an opportunity. See, it's too late recognizing that, you know what, you've got Chicago Fire deep into their own 18, and yet I look at the 3 center backs of FC Cincinnati, they're 15 yards in their own defensive half. I mean, I know Nikolic can stretch the back line, but there's no David Akam on the roster today, so why not take a few chances? And if you get Cincinnati playing deep in their own end, maybe step forward and put a little pressure on them.
Well, this is Justin Hoyt on the ball. About his pedigree, the ex-Arsenal man, played for Arsene Wenger for some 6 years. Now, Koenig trying to get there, and he nearly did, and it was Schweinsteiger who was the last-ditch safety valve there for the Fire. Schweinsteiger tracking Koenig all the way. Schweinsteiger, who won the German Cup 7 times with Bayern Munich. It's a country where they treat the cup competition very seriously as well. They play the final neutral site, the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, every year. Had a lot of heartbreaking cup competitions too, Schweinsteiger, at his career, as he floats that over the top to De Leeuw. Think of the Champions League finals he lost and World Cup semi-finals. The Fire faithful have to be encouraged again by what they've seen. So much to be encouraged by. Velko Panovic's side in general. Only Toronto FC ahead of them in the MLS standings. Alan Koch and the FC Cincinnati players yesterday were very quick to suggest there was absolutely no pressure on them today, nothing to lose. But what they do have is the attention and the interest of the soccer country. A chance to put on a show. Here's Matt Boehner, room to roam. Kadim, heavy touch, gets it back to Boehner. Is there a cross arriving? There is. Decent 1-2, but Schweinsteiger, the canny interception, he knew where that ball was going. And now he's there to turn defence into attack for the Fire. On from De Leeuw, Juninho has Connor available. Cincinnati scrambling to restore their defensive shape, and they've done so. Polster is going to give it a go, and Matt Polster not too far over the top.
Just great work, though, from Chicago Fire, playing out of pressure. Cincinnati finally getting forward. You get Schweinsteiger, Janino playing out. Then Matt Polster can step into the midfield here. Just a different team. The Chicago Fire team I'm watching right now, Adrian, is not the Chicago Fire team we've seen over the past 2.5 seasons. And winning is a huge part of that, but it's also a mentality. It's a leadership. And when you add players like Nikolic and Schweinsteiger and Dax McCarty and Janino, and you go up and down the line, all of a sudden you're looking at a franchise and a team that believes in what they're doing. And they also believe in their coach, which is very interesting. All of them are talking about how Veljko Paunovic has gotten them to believe that they deserve to be in the spot to win some trophies.
That shot wasn't going to win any trophies. Optimistic effort. A long way out. Just to back up what you said, Schweinsteiger telling us last night, it's good for the players. He says that Veljko Paunovic is a young coach. He's very approachable, very flexible, perhaps in contrast to some of the coaches he's experienced in his career. It remains scoreless with Kappelhoff making his way forward. DeLeo with the flick on. Matt Polster, an interesting storyteller. We saw his shot just a minute ago sailing over the top. Of course, he's playing in midfield tonight. He was their first round pick, wasn't he, in 2015? And he's one of the longest serving players now for the Chicago Fire. He's seen it all in his third year. It's clever work from Koenig, who's on his way and has options. Oh, he had options away to his left and he cut back inside to his right. Josu still trying to make something of it, but the moment had gone there for Cincinnati. One of the rare moments we saw an opportunity.
But it's the ball right now. Right now, Koenig should have had his head up. Now he cuts back into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders from the Chicago Fire, but Aiden Quinn made a spectacular run off the back shoulder of the defender. If that ball's played into his feet, now you've got a 1v1 situation.
Won't be too many of those moments, you imagine, tonight for FC Cincinnati. They simply have to capitalize on them if they are going to prevail. Kappelhoff launching it long as Harrison Delbridge able to corral. Delbridge, the big 6'4" centre-back for Cincinnati. He was actually born in Sydney, Australia. Now then, a little pickpocketing work from Janino, and he bullets that shot just wide. And Mitch Hildebrandt was confident, it appeared, that it was going wide.
Well, and look at the high pressure from Janino, then the touch, but you love this from Janino. And this is the organization and the communication between the back three of FC Cincinnati. You play into the feet of Dominguez or Quinn, you've got to give them an option to lay it off.
Now Koenig taking advantage of the fortuitous bounce, and Lampson has to make his first save of the game. There you saw the pace and the intent of Koenig.
Listen, Chicago, Adrian, excuse me, has shown that deflections or bad back passes have bounced away of FC Cincinnati. Koenig gets a wonderful opportunity on Matt Lampson. They're booing the call here, but that was the right call from the referee. That ball bounced off of Lampson, then Koenig. But we've seen glimpses of just that ball bouncing the right way for FC Cincinnati. The longer this game goes, the crowd gets into it, anxiety builds for the MLS side in Chicago Fire.
Koenig is an interesting case. Big, tall, powerful, pacey, as you just saw. Never that prolific a goal scorer, except for one season with Oklahoma City under Jimmy Nielsen, the coach there, where he scored 21 goals. Top scorer in the Western Conference in the USL.
Well, watching him play reminds you a lot of like Sebastian Letou, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Where he looks like he can run for 90 minutes. He's going to slither his way through. He's got decent pace. He's relentless. Sometimes technical ability isn't there, but you watch Koenig play, it reminds you a lot of Sebastian Letou.
Janino is Chicago Chicago chisel away again on the right-hand side. Polster. Looking for a quick give and go. Schweinsteiger electing to go in the other direction. And to get on the end of the cross, perhaps Hoyt. And he was fouled in the process of going up to try and head.
And Adrian, earlier I was talking about FC Cincinnati knowing when to step forward, and this is what I'm talking about. Here's your center back leader, Justin Hoyt. He's got to be communicating to Dominguez, to Quinn, step up here, wherever you can, and get to that midfield. Look at the space between Koenig and Hoyt. That's 70 yards. The one thing when coaches talk about being compact, it doesn't necessarily mean in front of your 18. It also means your center back can recognize when the opposite team's going the other way. I think Justin Hoyt, few opportunities in his first half. He can get that back line pushed a little bit higher and make life difficult for the Chicago Fire.
He was telling us yesterday, Justin Hoyt, about how Ashley Cole used to be a big mentor of his in his early days at Arsenal. He was once upon a time a roommate of Kai Kamara's as well, his time at Middlesbrough. Now the shot is on again, the left-footed effort! Oh, and Hildebrand wouldn't have got that, I don't think, had that been on target from Arturo Alvarez.
And Alvarez has been extremely active in this first half, and he's doing a wonderful job of finding those pockets of space in the seams between the two center backs, but also forcing, look at how deep that back line of FC Cincinnati is, and now it's forcing those two defensive midfielders to drop even deeper. Alvarez has had success throughout his entire career in Open Cup. I remember 07 Open Cup final, he scored for FC Dallas. He has shown up in big moments in Open Cup history.
And the Chicago Fire have another moment to work with here. Nikolic drawing the foul. It was Kadim Dakers with the initial challenge. I think that was the one that was penalised.
But if you're FC Cincinnati and Nikolic is dropping 35, 40 yards from goal, you'll take that. And that comes out of frustration. Very few touches for the leading goal scorer of Major League Soccer.
Yeah. The man has terrorized MLS defenses this season, been kept quiet in the Cincinnati back line, but others have had their moments, others have had their opportunities. There's another one about to unfold here. We shall see. Schweinsteiger standing over it. Floating it back post. Little touch away. There's Matt Boehner across from the right-hand side to intervene, conceding the corner.
He's come up with a couple good recognition, last-ditch defending plays, whether it's on set pieces or that ball across from, I think it was Alvarez trying to find DeLeu. Chicago's going to feel like going into halftime. They should be up 2-3-0 here, and that's just credit to this FC Cincinnati defensive group.
Schweinsteiger had managed to get himself free and was found from the short corner. They'll do it again after his shot took a deflection.
How does Schweinsteiger end up that open inside your own 18, though? I mean, all of that space right in here. FC Cincinnati set pieces has been an issue throughout the entire year. Lucky Schweinsteiger doesn't do anything with that ball.
Absolutely. Another variation from a corner. The Fire have plenty up their sleeve, and this one could lead to an end product. Another good piece of defensive concentration by Cincinnati. They're threatening to break in down either flank, aren't they? And that threat still very much on. Last-ditch sliding challenge from Dominguez. Jonathan Campbell. Look out wide. Schweinsteiger. Kapelov chasing it down. More intense pressure, but that breaks it up very effectively. Now it's Austin Berry. A moment for him to move forward. And that will be a free kick. DeLeo leading in. A little bit too much relish there on Kadim. instigated by the ex-Chicago fireman Austin Berry, who broke up the attack and then launched himself forward.
Well, remember last time Josu early in the game had this set piece and he floated it in, but this ball's got to be whipped, so Lanson can't come off his line in this area. It's got to be whipped with pace in this area, so then that goalkeeper doesn't have a free run at the ball. That is a dangerously high line for Chicago Fire here.
Josu at the controls for Cincinnati. Kadim allowed to lurk in the offside position, of course. And now back on as Josu goes far post, looking for Delbridge, who got there. Harrison Delbridge, a big central defender, was USL first 11 selection last year. Not enough meat on the bone, though, was there for Delbridge, former Sacramento Republic player, won a USL championship with them, very briefly with the Portland Timbers as well in 2015. It was the reserve team there. Austin Berry feeling the after effects of his run forward. Well, just the 1 minute of stoppage time was added on to the tail end of this first half, so I guess you would call this mission accomplished if FC Cincinnati get in on level terms. Austin Berry still feeling it, being looked at on the sideline. So that'll add a few seconds. One more chance perhaps for the Fire to move forward. It's a decent back header though from Boehner again. And that will be that for the first 45 minutes at Nippert Stadium. Referee's whistle is greeted by the crowd. They know what they've seen. It was a struggle for their team, but they were able to hold the Fire at bay and will be more than happy to go in goalless. Let's see if that feeling is shared by the Cincinnati coach, Alan Koch, who's standing by with Julie.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Alan, your team put under defensive pressure in this first half, but how did you keep it 0-0?
We obviously knew before the game they were obviously going to have more possession of the ball than us tonight. We know the quality that they have. It showed. They're fantastic at obviously trying to move the ball and trying to break us down. I give our players a lot of credit. Our shape was very, very good defensively. What I'd like to see more of is obviously possess the ball. The more we have the ball, the less they're obviously going to be able to attack and come at us. So I think that'll be our emphasis in the second half. Maintain the same shape, but when we get the ball, make sure we possess the ball a little bit better than we did in the first half.
Austin Berry was just walking off holding his eye. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, it looked like a bump to the head, but I think he's okay. I'm no medical expert, obviously, so we'll go check inside and see how he's doing.
Thanks so much, Alan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Alan Koch, the South African-born coach of FC Cincinnati, preparing his halftime team talk. 0-0, the USL team holding the MLS team thus far in the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup round of 16. Our halftime show coming up next. Queen City, the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. Round of 16 encounter between Cincinnati and Chicago. Goalless after 45 minutes, which will suit the USL side just fine thus far. We look at the scoreboard. Dallas, remember, the defending holders of the competition.
Look at Miami.
They won last night. Miami, another second division team. They're from the NASL, leading Atlanta United by 2-1. They beat Orlando in the last round. So you see the other scores and the games to come later on tonight. The earliest stage of the competition we've ever been able to bring you a game. I know it's a competition very dear to your heart.
Well, it's the only trophy I ever won.
2007. But seriously, though, looking at the future of the US Open Cup, I wonder, Taylor, what you'd like to see, what direction you'd like to see this tournament go in.
Well, it's leaps and bounds where it was even when we won in 2007 with the Revolution. And I think a big part of that is the winning prize for the first team in the CONCACAF Champions League spot, for that qualifying spot that's up there. But I'd like to see U.S. Soccer do a little bit more, Adrian. And first and foremost, because we don't have promotion relegation in this country, this is the only version of an open market type of competition that we have. And I think it's their duty to grow the game outside of the Major League Soccer markets. I want Major League Soccer teams to be in the round of 64. And I know all of you are going to text me and tell me that it's one more game, cry me a river. But put those teams in the lower division teams. Give those lower division teams the incentive of hosting an MLS team, of having the gate. But then also, we hear about this $100 million surplus. Let's add money to it. Yeah. What if tonight was worth 25, 30 grand instead of the $15,000 that go to the highest finishing team from each lower division? I just think as MLS expands, and we'll get into that in the next segment, I just think U.S. Soccer can make this Open Cup on ESPN in round of 16, quarterfinals, a regular occurrence. But they've got to up the ante a little bit. And I think everyone in this country, if we're worried about markets, we're in Cincinnati, Ohio, with 30,000 plus. This game's all over the place. I think U.S. Soccer, it has that responsibility of growing the game.
Well, we will talk some Cincinnati, Ohio when we return. What are the chances for the Queen City perhaps being one of the MLS expansion clubs in the near future?
Son. Yeah, you're looking a little right there, buddy. Very funny. Hey guys, what's this tomato doing at Randy's desk? You know, that actually reminds me, Steve. I got you something when I was over there. Just a little something. Like aloha.
It is the oldest national cup competition in the US, the third oldest in the world. The US Open Cup is what you're watching with us here on ESPN. 0-0 between Chicago and FC Cincinnati. The question everyone is asking here in the Queen City is, will FC Cincinnati be a possible MLS expansion team? Just to remind you what the picture looks like. 22 current teams, LA being added next season, LAFC that is.
Who would have said that would have been the map?
Yeah.
2005.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Miami still a question mark for number 24, but then 4 more slots, Taylor. The question is, do Cincinnati have the right sort of credentials to be one of those 4?
Well, the 3 criteria that MLS owners and Commissioner Don Garber will look at is ownership, check, stadium, check, and 3 is market. And market's got 2 tiers to it. First and foremost, the 30,000 that are here tonight, what they do in the community, but also what does it do for the TV revenue and the corporate sponsorships, and that's still one of those that I think raises it's above the heads of FC Cincinnati, but the ownership and stadium, that stadium on the river, that checks both boxes perfectly.
It is some race, isn't it, between these 12 cities? The ebbs and flows already in the last 6 months have been remarkable.
Yeah, and I want to remind everyone about the ebbs and flows, because you read articles about teams, cities struggling, Charlotte is out, and then all of a sudden you read the Charlotte Observer over the last couple of days, they may be back in. Minneapolis was thought to be dead when downtown Minneapolis said no. Look at that area in St. Paul. Dallas went to McKinney. It was in McKinney. Then all of a sudden it ends in Frisco. The ebbs and flows of this is very interesting. It's hard to point a finger on one of those today, but this was interesting talking with Mark Abbott of MLS Soccer today. And the thing about it that stood out to me was 27 and 28. There's no timeline.
Yeah.
They could announce 27-28 at MLS Cup this weekend. They can wait. So the cities like Nashville, Charlotte, Detroit, St. Louis, San Diego, that gives them the luxury to make sure they do their due diligence and figure out what's going on. I just hope that we aren't turning down, and I say we as Major League Soccer, environments like this, because this is something we've never seen in this country, and there are markets in this country that will grow the sport exponentially.
For sure, something very special indeed here in the Queen City. We will be in many different cities this coming weekend. All sorts of action to bring you, starting in Salt Lake on Friday night. RSL taking on Orlando. That's a 9:30 start. Then we'll have the U.S. men's national team against Ghana, their final Gold Cup warm-up on Saturday. That'll be followed immediately after that by Sporting Kansas City against the Portland Timbers. Goalless here. Good news so far for the USL side. The Chicago Fire team, though, chomping at the bit. Welcome back, everyone. They're continuing to beat the drum at the Bailey, the supporters' end. FC Cincinnati were more than happy with the state of play at the moment at 0-0, but they got something else to worry about. Louis Solignac is coming on for the Chicago Fire, so Veljko Paunovic wasting no time about adding to his attacking weapons. He's been in splendid form, and it was his wonder goal, Taylor, that won that game against St. Louis. An impudent backheeled flick, volley, sort of scorpion kick.
Well, and this was the lineup we thought we would see from the opening whistle. Polster will move and play right back. So now that gives him more of a, I don't know, an attacking option, a player that will give them some slashing runs, maybe get in behind this 5-back system played by FC Cincinnati tonight.
Another packed house, another vibrant crowd here at Nippert Stadium on the campus of the University of Cincinnati, where the Bearcats play their football. And around 30,000 here last time out against the Columbus Crew. We're expecting something very similar when the final tally is in tonight. Welcome to the second half challenge from Matt Polster, and he's rewarded with the first booking of the game. So free kick for the home team. Aidan Quinn standing over it. Kadim asking for a handball, not getting it. DeLeo, Quinn was across to snuff out the threat, and now tries to find Koenig, does so. Heavy touch from Boehner betrays him. Schweinsteiger just sailing past one challenge, and the second for that matter. Schweinsteiger! Good save from Hildebrandt, down low.
That's just too easy, though. Too easy defending from Quinn and Barry of FC Cincinnati.
Well, Julie Stewart-Binks is with us. She had a chance to catch up with Veljko Paunovic as he came out. What did he tell you, Julie?
Well, Adrian, he said that they had opportunities in the first half, but they need more bodies in the box, clarity in the final pass, and to do better on crosses. So that's why he brought in Louis Solignac. He said he's got power, he has mobility, and he's a guy who can make that final run to get in behind. They're staying in a 4-3-3 with Matt Polster moving to right back.
Thanks very much, Julie. Solignac been part of a second big improvement in as many years. Part of that Colorado team that really turned things around last year under Pablo Mastroeni, and he gives Mastroeni a lot of credit for his development as a player last year. 26-year-old Argentine.
I also think Solignac more valuable when he's on a team that has 2 or 3 go-to goal scorers. When he's the go-to goal scorer, I don't think that fits him, but he's relentless. It's 90 minutes. He's a good link-up player. This year, obviously, he's had success in Major League Soccer with 4 goals, 3 assists. But that's because everyone's aware of Nikolic and David Akka.
Now can Solignac do some damage from yet another Chicago Fire corner. Schweinsteiger going much deeper this time towards Juninho. Away from Justin Hoyt. Solignac with that wonder goal in the last round.
Well, talk about defenses being worried about Schweinsteiger, blown by Aidan Quinn, and then also Austin Barry. Good save from Hildebrandt, but you just look at the veteran movement, just the dip of the shoulder. You would have thought Schweinsteiger was 22 with that move. I mean, he literally blew right by Aidan Quinn and Austin Barry. He's never been the fastest.
No. Never in any one of those 500 games for Bayern Munich was he the fastest player on the field. And he was telling us yesterday the biggest thing that he thinks this team now is that we are not easy to play against. He was stressing they can still do better, not satisfied with what they've done. They can still be more prolific, even though they're the top scorers in the league. Some evidence of that tonight as well, Taylor. Chances have come and gone for them. Perhaps that killer instinct that you need at the very highest level.
Well, in watching him play, particularly in the first half tonight, and I think over the last few weeks, it reminds you a lot of how David Beckham ended his career with LA. You know, he's got the freedom to go find the game and get on the ball as often as he can. I think Schweinsteiger may have a little bit more left in the legs, but it's very similar to the last couple of years with LA and David Beckham.
Now Solignac trying to get it on the end of that ball. Another free kick coming Cincinnati's way. This was Josu who went down. Told you in the first half, a product of the Barcelona Youth Academy. Josu's 24. He's had a very colourful path since that time. He's played both in Finland and in India. And he signed on May the 7th. He's actually the second Barcelona Youth Academy player that Alan Koch has worked with. He also coached a player up in the Vancouver Whitecaps system. Koch, who'd done really well with Vancouver, beating their reserve team to a USL conference game in the Western Conference last year. More good work from Quinn, who's been lively now. Can they get Koenig going in the second half? A little more pep in their step, it seems, for FC Cincinnati at the start of this second half. I heard Alan Koch talking about their need to possess the ball better. They had precious little of it in the first 45 minutes. You saw those possession statistics and how lopsided they were. To be expected, as he said, talking to Julie. But
yeah, but now you look at the bench, and at what point does he make a change? You know, we haven't seen a lot from Eric Stevenson and Dominguez in the midfield. So, you know, do you bring in Corbin Bone? I mean, obviously there's got to be a chip on the shoulder of Corbin Bone, who was highly touted coming out of Wake Forest, went to Chicago Fire. I don't think he was played in the right position, but you would have to think you can utilize that at some point tonight. And then who knows? Jimmy McLaughlin's another one that, coming off the bench, he gives you a more dynamic 1v1 player up front. You would have to think at some point here, a switch or two will be made.
Plenty of activity on the bench, as you can see. Bowen amongst those warming up. Schweinsteiger shrugged off the ball there, and then bailed out by Polster, who held his ground. It's beginning to become a little reminiscent of a game Chicago played 3 weeks ago down in Orlando, where they were actually up 2 men in that game, but couldn't break through. It's a rare, frustrating game for them in their recent stretch. Still, of course, plenty of time to rectify that. Matt Polster delivers a cross. Not a bad shape to it, but Hildebrandt able to gather unchallenged.
I know Matt Polster doesn't want to hear this, but right back is his future for the rest of his career. And I know yesterday in the hotel he said he still believes he's got a point to play in center midfield, but Matt Polster at right back completely changes this team. He's a technical player, he has an eye for playing that pass forward. He gives them an option, so not everyone's keying on Brandon Vincent. I just think Matt Polster gives the Chicago Fire a different look because he gives them a little bit more quality than they had before at right back.
Let's get some more thoughts on that quickly from Julie.
Well, Adrian, just to Taylor's point, Matt Polster told us that he actually called U.S. men's national team coach Bruce Arena 2 days ago when he found out he was cut from that final Gold Cup squad. Bruce Arena told him that he definitely sees him as a right back, to keep doing his thing and to keep working hard. Polster said, "I'd like to pursue playing right back."
Indeed.
You can come.
A little bit disappointed not to make that Gold Cup squad, but could easily be called up as an alternate. Taylor, somewhere down the line, they can make changes.
I call Bruce Arena every weekend. He just never returns my calls. I think he's got my number blocked, to be honest with you. Do you blame him?
Long ball forward from Hildebrandt. Now Josu. Josu's cross initially charged down. And then Polster leading in. fairly, according to Hilario Grajeda. I hear what the crowd thought of that. Josu. Well, the referee is public enemy number one at the moment, but to my eyes, he's done nothing wrong.
Well, and watch as Matt Polster defends Josu. He actually waves his hand to get up just out of our picture. Polster's got to be careful here that emotions don't take. He's on a yellow.
Josu ending up in the book as a result. Kapilov. FC Cincinnati in their first year of existence last year under coach John Harkes finished third in the Eastern Conference in the USL. They went out in the first round of the playoffs in gut-wrenching fashion. They lost at home here to the Charleston Battery. I think it took nearly everyone by surprise around the organisation when Harkes was let go and Alan Koch was given less than 24 hours notice to basically take over the reins of this team before pre-season started, as that cross floats in harmlessly.
Well, John was a huge reason why me, you, Mark Connolly were all in on FC Cincinnati right from the get-go.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a big-time appointment, wasn't it?
Well, and just watching the opening games of their inaugural season, John did a good job of trying to get this team to play a certain way.
And it took Alan Koch, by his own admission, a little bit, some time to get going, just some time to establish his imprint on this team and bring in a couple of players he wanted. They had a slow start to the USL campaign. They've got going in recent weeks. Solignac called for the foul. FC Cincinnati, just to finish at that point, have lost just one in their last 9 in all competitions, so similar sort of run Chicago have put together in terms of length. It's Marco Dominguez who was on the receiving end of this one. Dominguez, the young Canadian who moved from Montreal. That was when Montreal moved their USL team away from Montreal. Basically became the Ottawa Fury. Dominguez looked for other options and Cincinnati came calling. He's only 21. Our next MLS game coming up in just a couple of nights' time. A special Friday night edition for you from Rio Tinto. We'll see RSL for the first time this season on our airwaves, hosting Orlando City. That's a 9:30 Eastern start Friday night. MLS presented by Audi, also streaming live on the ESPN app. Of course, that's the return of Jason Christ to Salt Lake City. We'll go up against Mike Petke in the coaching department. Mentioned the coaches around USL, so many coaches in the USL with prior MLS experience, the likes of Mike Jeffries, John Wolonek, Paul Dalglish, Preki, who coaches St. Louis, who Chicago beat in the last round, Jimmy Nielsen, Logan Paws.
I also wonder in the next, year or two, is that also where we may see a establishment of proving themselves, and maybe Dominic Kinnear, Ziggy Schmidt. Those two have had great, phenomenal MLS careers, but with so many of these USL markets being a huge part of growing players and developing players, that's a wealth of experience and knowledge that maybe we see those two down the line in another spot where USL not only grows players but also grows coaches.
Yep.
Not saying that Dom and Ziggy need growth.
Koenig and Kapelhoff doing battle meanwhile. Certainly the USL is a league with equal ambition to MLS in terms of expansion. There are 30 clubs nationwide, the USL, 15 in the West, 15 in the East. Talk that number could rise rapidly over the next few years. including talk of the Las Vegas team, Taylor. That's Nikolic with a sharp layoff. Schweinsteiger onto Alvarez. Good tackle. Delbridge timed that to intricate perfection, didn't he? Went full length as well. Harrison Delbridge.
It's a good tackle from Harrison Delbridge because Alvarez has got him isolated 1v1, so he's got to be committed, and right from the beginning of that tackle, he's got to be there. It's just a good spot from Delbridge, but it's that play right afterwards where the ball's then played into the feet of Dominguez, and it's given right back to Chicago.
An hour gone, goalless. And I say it, Chicago not quite as dominant as they were in the first half. See, Cincinnati seem to have stemmed the tide. This is Koenig. Such industry again from him. He's been full of running and he's earned a corner. That'll be their first of the game for the home team. Danny Koenig, the Great Dane, as they call him here already. Now, he do some damage from a set piece, and the Bailey is starting to bounce.
I think this crowd needs to realize, here you are in the 62nd minute, round of 16, 0-0 at home. They have a huge impact on this game. They've got to get back into this.
Quinn's corner, far post, Delbridge got there. Had a decent look at it. Shot from distance is not going to trouble Matt Lampson. It was around this stage in the game that they indeed scored the only goal against the Columbus Crew. Of course, still trying to find a way to do so without their talisman up front, Gibi, 32-year-old Senegalese striker who had quite some international pedigree before he came here. This is Alvarez, who's on his way. Ball up for grabs. Can it be finished off? He can't.
Saved it.
Wow. Hildebrand managed to recover. He lost track of the ball altogether, it appeared.
Yeah, but watch this. So the ball gets caught under the feet of Hildebrand, and he's looking around looking for it. Right here he reacts. He gets a touch.
Yep.
Or is this Hoyt coming in later? Right here, that ball comes. No, it was his own player.
Yeah, off his own man. Hildebrand was there. It appeared it came off him. In fact, to the referees it did too. They gave the corner. Schweinsteiger. As close as the Fire have come to a goal in this second half. Lampson. Here's Quinn now. I think he thought Lampson was far enough off his goal line to give that a go
That's not
from about the halfway line.
That's not the right decision, because, and he knows it. Aiden Quinn knows it. But Lampson plays a bad ball forward, and he's got 2v1 in the back trying to score from 45, 50 yards.
I think he was watching David Villa a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he?
Well, but it's different circumstances, right? You're defending for so long. When you do get the few opportunities you have going forward, you've got to make the most of them.
Now Koenig trying to shield off Polster, did well. Kadim, though, was simply crowded out. And Schweinsteiger can act as the release valve, and does so quite brilliantly. And now DeLeo is on his way. Chicago transforming defense into attack with ruthless efficiency. Alvarez has the moment gone. It's still alive. Solignac, the shot. Oh, and Nikolic is denied. Fabulous save by Hildebrand. Best moment of the game for Nikolic, and biggest save from the Cincinnati keeper.
Well, it's taken a little more than 63 minutes for Nikolic to get his first opportunity. Just good touch from Solignac for Nikolic to hit this first time. How's that for a save from Hildebrand?
Hildebrand, as I mentioned, the USL Goalkeeper of the Year last year. And 4 seasons with Minnesota United as well in their old NASL days.
Keep an eye on this run here from DeLeo. That was the run Schweinsteiger was looking for in the first half.
He's looking for it again, but Hildebrand was there first. Still, the breakthrough refuses to come for the men in red. Hildebrand, 26 years old. He made a Sports Centre top 10 last year with a double save against Toronto on their second team. Former University of Oakland goalkeeper. Alan Koch, I'm sure, continuing to ponder some changes as he sees Kadim digging away on the far side. And there is some activity on the benches. It's going to be Eric Stevenson who makes way. Tough road back for him with all his fitness concerns, his injuries, worries. He went 65 minutes, but he's going to make way for a very popular player here, Jimmy McLaughlin, a former Philadelphia Union prospect. He was the Union's second ever homegrown signing all the way back in 2011. His fond memories of the Open Cup. He made his debut for the Union, replacing Freddie Adu on that particular day. On this day, it's Stevenson who makes way. Now what can McLaughlin do?
Well, he gives them a different option. He'll play more as a left winger. He's good 1v1, very technical, explosive in those situations. So now Chicago, Matt Polster in particular, has got to be very careful on the counter.
Kadim left on the floor as Chicago break here. And Nikolic is on his way. Nikolic has pierced the armour, but he can't get it past Hildebrand. Well, he's had 60 minutes with barely a sniff of the ball. The life of the striker, Taylor.
But now we're starting to see DeLeo find himself in these spots, and that is the wrong defensive run there from Harrison Delbridge. If he recognizes where his center back partner Hoyt is and stops, then Nikolic is offside by 2 or 3 yards. But you're starting to see DeLeo of the Chicago Fire, Adrian, get in those holes, in those pockets, and run at that center back tandem of the FC Cincinnati.
Kadim managing to earn a throw. It's Matt Boehner who will take it. Midway point just about of the second half, and still goalless at Nippert Stadium. Boehner, and the free kick will arrive this time, courtesy of Hilario Grajeda. Wry smile from Schweinsteiger. $32,287 has just been announced as the official attendance, the second largest crowd in US Open Cup history. So they've beaten the crowd they got here 2 weeks ago against the Columbus Crew. Quite remarkable.
Well, and the record was the 2011 Open Cup final with Chicago Fire in Seattle.
A final that Chicago won't have many fond memories of. They lost that by 2-0. They're actually knotted together with Seattle in terms of the most modern era wins in the MLS, with 4 apiece. Here's Jimmy McLaughlin trying to liven up the crowd. Good cross to Koenig! Well, he got on the end of it effectively.
And I felt from the opening whistle, Adrian, I said it to you probably 15 times today, that I was just surprised Jimmy McLaughlin wasn't playing. He's their most dynamic 1v1 player in wide areas. He comes into this second half. He's going to have a huge say in this game if he can find himself isolated against Matt Polster.
Yeah, he was just buzzing at the opportunity that tonight presented when we talked to him yesterday. Just to display his wares. 24-year-old, so highly regarded when he first emerged. Alvarez up against Delbridge, and Delbridge trying to recover, trying to seal off Alvarez's path towards the penalty area, was forced to lead in with the shoulder and bring him down. So this will present a rather potent placement of a free kick for the Fire. Just a two-man wall for FC Cincinnati. Hildebrandt getting his angles worked out. He's yelling at Jimmy McLaughlin.
Well, at times you'll see goalkeepers want to put 3 in the wall here to cover that near post where Matt Polster's standing.
It's Schweinsteiger. Oh, it's a collision of heads on the edge of the area. That was nasty. And there's immediate concern from the Cincinnati players. Dominguez had spotted what Schweinsteiger was trying to do and was there to meet it. Seemed to meet the head of the Chicago Fire player at the same time. This will bring us a stoppage of play. While we have a moment.
Well, there's the ball. Yeah, that's an elbow in from Nikolic. It is very important right now that the medical staff of FC Cincinnati properly assesses Dominguez here, because that did not look like he was completely aware of everything immediately after that.
I mean, you only have eyes for the ball in that situation.
100%.
So you're always taken by surprise.
See, and this is the most difficult part of assessing head injuries in our game, Adrian, and because how do you properly want to assess this in 2 to 3 minutes? It's impossible.
Is it possible? I mean,
no, it's impossible.
I ask you that. I mean, is it? Well, Nikolic got a yellow. Hilario Grajeda issuing the caution to the Hungarian striker. Dominguez is back near the halfway line and eager to get back in.
Less than 30 seconds.
Yeah. We have to ask what sort of assessment can take place in that time frame. Nikolic in the book. We are into the final 20 minutes. Well, we have a moment. Let's go down to Julie. What have you been hearing from the coaches, Julie?
Well, Adrian, I've been speaking with Alan Koch this entire second half. He's been beaming, smiling ear to ear. He just loved what he saw in the last couple minutes, saying we are growing in confidence. He loves the energy that Jimmy McLaughlin brings, because he said he's been playing so well for us, what Taylor has been talking about. But he said on the other side of the ball, I want Harris and Delbridge to manage the back three. We need Aiden Quinn to cut off service to Luis Solinac.
Thanks, Julie, as Kadim goes on a jinking run. Koenig! Well, his shot was parried, but it will earn FC Cincinnati just their second corner of the game. The Forest forward have been rare at attacking that end. The Bailey. And the FC Cincinnati supporters groups. 6 different supporters groups all congregate. Almost try and will the ball in for their team. Here comes that corner, up for grabs, Lamson, good solid punch. And McLaughlin couldn't get his foot around the ball on the follow-up. That was terrific goalkeeping, wasn't it, from Lamson in a crowd. Came a long way. Nikolic. Two teams, by the way, playing for the right to meet the winner of the Miami FC Atlanta United time. We're hearing that has gone the way of Miami FC. Indeed, it is a final. Miami FC, another upset. That's an NASL team, the other second division in the United States. Miami FC under the coaching of Alessandro Nesta, the Italian great. They knocked out Orlando in the last round, and they've taken care of Atlanta. So that's the prize for the winner of this game, and the winner of this game will be on the road down in Miami as well.
Are we going to that one?
We may just follow the winner of the respective ties all the way through to the final. I'm game if you are.
I am.
This has been terrific. Quite an experience. Round of 16 at the Open Cup. FC Cincinnati laying out major league credentials for all to see. Going toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in the league at the moment. That's a head-on from Dominguez. Oh, and Koenig, I think, would love to have that back. He went for the instinctive jab, didn't he? Could have taken that on, Taylor.
No, but the little bit of quality that McLaughlin has brought into this game has completely changed it, Adrian.
Maybe it was part of the master plan of Alan Koch all along. Keep it goalless and then bring on players to try and turn the game.
But you can start to feel the anxiety of Chicago Fire going forward, and they're throwing numbers forward. So now when the ball turns over here from Schweinsteiger, now you get opened into space, something we didn't see for the first 55, 60 minutes.
It's McLaughlin using that space, eating it up in fact. McLaughlin, round one, and he couldn't finish. Matt Lampson holding firm at the near post, but he has brought an energy and an excitement.
And some quality. He's got Kapelhoff right where he wants him, backpedaling 12 yards out from goal. Big save from Matt Lampson.
FCC goes up the charge from the Bailey. In fact, all of Nippert Stadium. McLaughlin with the corner. Still up for grabs. Delbridge trying to make a nuisance of himself. Hacked clear by Schweinsteiger. Shot from distance, over the top.
And listen, the crowd's gaining some energy. Here we are in the 77th minute. And how often have we seen around the world, Adrian, when it comes down to missed chances early in the game, here you go. And now momentum swings, and now you're hanging in there. You're defending for your lives. Now the game starts to turn. Ball's bouncing your way. Keepers coming up with big saves. Deflections on the other end. Now the anxiety on MLS's side of Chicago Fire. And this crowd's in this game where we didn't see them for the first 55, 60 minutes.
And guess what? Now they have another man with a point to prove to go up against them. Corbin Bone, the 13th overall pick in the 2010 draft by the Chicago Fire. Was with them for 4 years. Only made 18 appearances before being traded away to Philadelphia, like his teammate Austin Berry. Corbin Bone getting the ultimate opportunity to make his mark against his former employers. Bone has been in terrific form of late in the USL as well. The US men's national team will play their final warm-up game before the Gold Cup. We'll have it for you on Saturday, 5 p.m. start time with Ghana, the opponents. You can stream the match live also using the ESPN app. Of course, that's a game that will pitch Dax McCarty against David Akam, potentially. Both of them not involved tonight because they're with their respective national teams. And really, the only two starters that the Chicago Fire left out, you could make an argument that Solignac would be in that conversation too. There's McLaughlin. Not this time for Jimmy McLaughlin, but it's just some whipsaw energy that he has provided. 1 goal and 2 assists for him in USL play this year. Alvarez over the top. Can Solignac get there? He can't. Schweinsteiger, little chip over the top, which came close to working. Might have done had it not been for Aidan Quinn's reactions.
And it was a great reaction from Aidan Quinn, because Brandon Vincent made the 45, 50-yard run in behind where everyone was aware of Schweinsteiger. Great recognition from Aidan Quinn.
Schweinsteiger pulling the strings again. Good, solid thumping header away. Cincinnati defense
got to do better there.
Kadim couldn't come up with it. Now his team are under the cosh again. Hoyt trying to hold off Solignac, asking for a handball, and they get it. Solignac, the guilty party. This was the handball, but I know the frustration for you, Taylor, was what you'd seen just prior to that. Kadim had a chance to act as a release valve, didn't he?
Because I'm starting to feel and see the anxiety on the Chicago Fire players. So now they're throwing numbers forward, and they're forgetting, listen, you're 10 minutes, you're on the road. This is where the leadership of Janino and Schweinsteiger need to remind Polster and Vincent, you can't get caught so high up the field that Kadim and McLaughlin can catch you on the counter.
Only 10 minutes to go. Remember, there has to be a winner tonight, so we are looking at extra time if these two teams cannot be separated. That was a scenario that, you have to say, looked fairly unlikely the way the game began. First 15 or 20 minutes particularly. Chicago and Cincinnati on the ropes, but the home team have bared their attacking teeth in flourishes and bursts in this second half, particularly since the introduction of McLaughlin, and now they have Corbin Bone trying to do some damage too. Here's Alvarez. I'll say this about the Cincinnati defense today: they've been well positioned, well stationed. They haven't been caught out of position too many times tonight.
And when they have, Hildebrand's come up with 2 or 3 big saves.
Yep.
It's just so difficult defending a guy like Nikolic. Adrian, there's the greatest goal scorers in the world. You can feel like you've got him in their pocket for 84, 85, 86 minutes, and all they need is 1 or 2 chances to put the game away, and you just get the feeling that Nikolic may have one more chance before the end of regulation here.
Josu for Cincinnati. Corbin Bone. Schweinsteiger looking over the top for Nikolic. Delbridge very carefully away. Back come the Fire. Solignac charging down the centre channel, riding the first challenge, not the second. It was Delbridge again. No nonsense clearance from him. Up towards Koenig, trying to make something of it, and he has done. McLaughlin wanting it. Koenig heading for the penalty area, and it's a corner. Well, that was bullish work from Danny Koenig there. Only signed in early May with this team. And Koch bringing him after his goal-scoring exploits in Oklahoma City.
Remember, early in the second half, Delbridge found himself open on this back post, right behind Matt Polster, right in the middle of your screen on the left. Just a little bit to the left, right behind Brandon Vincent on that back post.
Corner is near post. It will be take 2, courtesy of the clearance behind from Janino. There is the 6'4" Harrison Delbridge. It's in his direction. Delbridge is in midair trying to reach it. McLaughlin trying to keep the attack alive. It's a great return ball. Can they finish? Oh, and Koenig couldn't make the connection he needed to. What a moment for the home team. And now Schweinsteiger trying to make them pay at the other end. Running out of room and running out of possession. But that had them almost celebrating a goal before it arrived there in the Bailey. That ball from McLaughlin over the top was a treat. Koenig had to try and bring it down and sweep it towards goal in one movement. Couldn't quite pull it off. Justin Hoyt, playing with fire there, literally playing with fire. And he's given it away. And will he be punished? Nikolic!
What a tackle.
Bainer bailing him out. It's DeLeo and Hildebrand to the rescue. And Justin Hoyt will be a relieved man there. It was his careless ball across the face of his own penalty area.
Well, and here you've done 82, 83, 84 minutes. You've kept Chicago Fire with a goose egg. Not only does he give the ball away, but then he drops so deep that Nikolic is onside. My goodness.
That's the one thing we haven't really seen from Cincinnati. They've been pretty much error-free in their bid to repel this potent fire attack. Let's not forget, this is the top-scoring team in MLS that you're watching here tonight, the Chicago Fire. Against the team currently in 6th place in the Eastern Conference of the USL. And it's just a playoff place for Cincinnati as it stands. The beauty of the cup unfolding before our eyes. The underdogs going toe-to-toe with the favourites. Can Chicago yet make their quality tell in normal time? It's Juninho floating it back post, offside. And that will end the Chicago attack. Brandon Vincent was trapped.
See, this is where the back line of FC Cincinnati has to be extremely careful. All three center backs want to throw their hands up, but the reality is their movement of dropping deep, trying to cover it, that keeps Brandon Vincent on. This is where you need some leadership, though, within the group of FC Cincinnati, of saying, listen, we've done our job. We've given ourselves a real chance here. So for 87 minutes, let's be compact here, take our chances going forward, but let's play the odds. And the odds are right now that the anxiety and the drama will build. Chicago Fire will push numbers forward and maybe try to catch them on the counter. But I feel like they're losing sense of the moment here, Adrian, and they're real spread out from Koenig to Hoyt in the back.
Yeah, I think if you'd offered Alan Koch this scenario yesterday, he would have snapped your arm off for it, wouldn't he? 0-0 with 3 minutes to go. A chance for something truly remarkable. A cup journey that they don't want to end here in Cincinnati as Josu slashes that forward. It should be Lampson's and is. Two minutes plus whatever stoppage time Hilario Grajeda and his crew add on. And then it will be extra time. And then penalties if necessary. Game's coming thick and fast for Chicago. You imagine an extra 30 minutes on turf is probably the last thing that Veljko Paunovic wants at the moment. They may have a chance to put that aside because Alvarez is going down the middle here and Hoyt on the ground. Managed to stick out a leg. Nikolic blocked by Hoyt. Schweinsteiger now. He's carved out the shooting chance, but it was quickly blocked by Austin Berry. A late flurry from the Fire. Juninho. Well, Hoyt certainly redeemed himself with that double play at the back. Very important intervention by the Englishman. Jonathan Campbell feeding it wide. Campbell again. forward at all for Chicago. Juninho having to go back to Lampson. A big win in the air by Matt Boehner, who's really caught the eye tonight. Right back Boehner staring down Solignac here. Solignac looking to make inroads. DeLeo from distance. That will be routine for Hildebrandt. And we are in stoppage time. It's a look that says it all for the Fire. So dominant at times in this game, mostly in the first half, we should say. They've had their spells of dominance in the second half. That Cincinnati crowd continuing to dream of what might be here. Josu forced to take evasive action.
You would have to think too, Daniel Johnson for Veljko Paunovic maybe is an option coming off the bench to maybe give this attack some life.
Now the flag has stayed down. Is this the moment for Cincinnati? It isn't, because Lampson is there to deny, of all people, Corbin Bone. And back the other way we come. Nikolic, he's offside. Couldn't get the shot away anyway. Justin Hoyt was there, but Corbin Bone, how do you picture, has his head in his hands? That was his moment, gilt-edged.
Well, and watch this run out of the midfield from Corbin Bone. Great recognition here. Brandon Vincent doesn't see it. Kapelhoff doesn't see it. One-on-one on Lampson, and you just wonder the moment, everything going through Corbin Bone's mind right here. 4 years with the Chicago Fire, never getting a real chance. Matt Lampson coming up with a big save.
Well, he could have made his former team pay. Lampson has done what he's had to do as well. Both goalkeepers have been superb tonight.
Well, and both subs for FC Cincinnati have brought them a little bit more quality and a little bit more life going forward.
Well, those fresh legs they will need if we head into extra time, which is now less than a minute away. Josu surveying the scene. Chance to ping it forward one more time. Boehner taking that chance. And here's Kadim. Koenig. The ball inside. McLaughlin's going to get there. Can he cut it back? McLaughlin's done brilliantly. McLaughlin, was that handball? He's won it on the follow-up. It was a good look from Hilario Grajeda. He decided it wasn't, despite the howls from the Bailey. To be fair, no Cincinnati players were protesting, but they press on here, and Bone has won it back. Bone! Oh, it wasn't that far away. Wasn't that far away at all from Corbin Bone.
And what a look from Aiden Quinn to get McLaughlin going forward to the end line. Oh boy, I don't know, Adrian. That left arm, and everyone watch, you're going to see the right arm come into his body. Where's the left arm? That hits his left arm.
See, I thought it hit his right, Taylor.
Yeah, that hits his left arm, and now you make the, is this a natural position? Is the intent there? The right arm's inside his body. That hits his left arm.
It almost hit both hands, didn't it?
It did.
One arm was in a natural position, the other wasn't. Hilario Grajeda was perfectly positioned as well. He saw it clearly. Alan Koch, I think, having words with the referee, who's blown the whistle for the end of regulation. He is pumping his team up. They are finished in fine fettle. FC Cincinnati giving Chicago a run for their money here in the second half. Moments at both ends. Jimmy McLaughlin really turning the game with his spark plug appearance off the bench. But guess what? We got more US Open Cup soccer for you. Extra time is beckoning. Goalless in the Queen City.
It hits his right.
Yeah.
That left arm.
Then it goes
out.
on to his left.
Yep.
Yeah. It was weird though. None of the players were appealing for it. I know they were trying to play on and make something happen, but
How about the cut from Jimmy McLaughlin, dude?
oh,
Yeah, you got to show the cut from Jimmy McLaughlin because Matt Polster's picking up his jock strap right now. By the way,
is he?
the first half he was good. The second half he looks like a nightmare right now. That was Corbin Bone. Guys, we gotta hurry up. Frat's got a flight.
Fred's got a 1:45 a.m.
Yep, perfect. Good. Start with the ball from Quinn. Oh, Polster. Whoop. Yep.
Oh, Koenig was appealing. I thought no one was appealing, but who was it? Was it? Yeah.
Don't worry about 15 minutes. Just take 5 minutes overtime. First 5 minutes. It's all about us. You have the right instinct.
This is a story about mail packages, and it's also a story about people. While we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. United States Postal Service. Priority.
What if customer mentioned the demand all the time?
Wait, a data center and a cloud can't connect. Michael, you get stated. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You used to be this guy. What happened to that guy?
Let's see, technology can't off any company, but yes, it's here. So you say we cut delivery time? Yeah, from HP we finally work for what we want. The ratings hybrid IT, freaking confused.
Quinn. But how about Jimmy McLaughlin making the most out of this against Matt Polster? Whoop! And then here's the handball. This is a penalty for me. That's a penalty. It hits Kapoff in the right arm. I see that. But watch the left arm. It hits the right arm, right to the left ham. You could make an argument that his intent was to make that arm out from his body. That's a penalty for me.
Certainly, we've seen them given, haven't we? In just those sort of circumstances. Kapoff mighty relieved. But Hilario Grajeda decided not to blow the whistle. No golden goal, remember, in extra time. 2 15-minute halves. And if still no breakthrough arrives, then the drama of penalties. Remember, these two teams with a place in the quarter-final of the Lamar Hunt Open Cup at stake over the next 30 minutes, and they already know the identity of their opponents in that quarter-final. It will be Miami FC of the NASL, the other second division in the United States.
And if I'm in that FC Cincinnati huddle in between the break, I'm literally making a point to Corbin Bone. You've made 2 or 3 runs out of the midfield that has caused enormous problems for this Chicago Fire team. Right here, take an opportunity.
Well, Bone's at it again. Played outside to Kadim. What can he do? Decides to cut inside. I don't think it's overstating the case that FC Cincinnati have been a team transformed by the second half substitutions. Here's Juninho. Schweinsteiger. He's been in plenty of these sort of situations, hasn't he? Extra time and biggest cup competitions in the world for club and country. off. Imagine there were some interesting conversations on the bench in between 90 minutes and extra time. Julie, what did you hear? Come back to you because Jimmy McLaughlin is on his way again. A little bit of searching for the ball from Kadeem. In comes the cross. Julie, what did you hear on the benches?
Adrian, on the Chicago side, they said we have to move the ball faster in the final third. We're tired, and we have to be aware of their offensive transitions. On the Cincinnati side, they said we were the better team in the final 45. We have confidence. We put doubt into their minds. They said we have to keep taking care of the ball and cutting off their service.
Thanks, Julie.
I think Paunovic is 100% correct, though.
Yeah.
They've lacked the urgency, in particular the last 20 minutes, and that just comes, Adrian, I think, with missing the numerous opportunities they had in the first 60, 65 minutes. But I think the quicker they play, the quicker they play and get it wide and get 2v1s and get numbers up, well, then you can get in behind this back five of FC Cincinnati.
DeLeo, persistence paying off for the Dutchman. Down he goes, and this will be a free kick for Chicago in really dangerous territory. And that was all Michael DeLeo. Went foraging for the ball, won it, and then drew that foul.
Yeah, you look at the 3, 4, 5 defenders around. I think that was a clumsy challenge from Corbin Bone.
DeLeo still feeling the pain. Chicago Fire searching for one moment of defining quality here. Could this be it? It's only about 21, 22 yards. Perfect placement really to get it up and over the wall. Schweinsteiger it is via Juninho. Schweinsteiger bent it. And I tell you what, Hildebrandt was rooted to the spot, just hoping that went wide.
Well, and right when Alvarez makes this one step backwards, you knew Schweinsteiger was looking for that near post. My initial thought was maybe Alvarez with the left foot could whip it a little easier with the left foot, but the wall of FC Cincinnati doing its job. Speaking of a wall.
Yeah. It's made up of 6 supporters groups. I mentioned them. We should give them their due, Taylor. Die Innenstadt, the inner city, the Pride, the Legion, Lowen des Suden, the Den, and the Queen City Firm. How do you get 6 supporters groups in a year and a half? It's evidence of what this city brings to the table. Now it's Giosu. Bring those supporters groups to life. Something with the left foot in order here.
Yeah, but he can't float it in the way he's done the first 2 or 3 of these in this spot. That's a better ball.
Whipped in this time! Oh, any sort of touch. Any sort of touch. Might have steered it in. It was the centre-back Delbridge who was closest.
Well, that's a dream ball for any attacking player on this because it's whipped in with pace. Any touch, and Matt Lampson's going the other way. Finally, a good ball tonight from Josu on a set piece.
Campbell. We so often see the tempo drop in extra times in big cup competitions, international tournaments around the world. More immediate evidence of that in this one. Here's McLaughlin, nothing slow about him, and he's beaten his man again, McLaughlin. And he is tormenting the right-hand side of that Chicago Fire defense.
You want to talk about making the most of your opportunity? National TV against an MLS team in front of 30,000 plus.
Kornick trying to play it back to the run of Kadeem. And former manager John Hart always sung the praises of this man, Jimmy McLaughlin, saying he should be in MLS.
Well, it's honestly a great reminder, I think, in our country, developing players, that maybe too often we write a player off too quickly. I mean, when you look at his career, what is he, 24?
Yep.
I mean, he's still a young player in certain eyes. So to say at 21, 22, the kid can't play, I just think often we do that too often in this country, and I think it's too soon. He's showing up tonight.
Oh, McLaughlin's on the end of
What a
that, and that
tackle.
was a goal-saving intervention by Kapelov. And he's paid the penalty for it too.
I think it was Matt Polster, Adrian.
Or was it Polster?
It was. Watch Polster, top of your screen. McLaughlin's in. McLaughlin's in, and Matt Polster does anything he can. Watch this last touch. How good is that? Both teams putting it on the line tonight.
Cincinnati continuing to go toe-to-toe.
I mean, this game has had everything, and it's 0-0.
Lampson struggling to get hold of it first time of asking, but able to retrieve. And the team from the USL matching the team from MLS, blow for blow. And again, a club and a city displaying their credentials for all to see. Starved of any sort of sporting success in this city. McLaughlin will be given the keys to the city if he can come up with a winning goal tonight. You think about the Reds, Taylor, they've won one World Series in 40 years. The Bengals don't exactly produce playoff victories too often.
Oh, I love how, since you're a fan of the Bengals, you're polite about it. They're 0-7 in the playoffs under Marvin Lewis.
Did you have to remind me of that?
Well, the viewers at home are wondering how an English guy that lives in Connecticut is a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals.
It's a long story.
Well, we got time. We're in extra time.
But you just feel, Taylor, this city, with two major teams, there is room for a third major league sports enterprise.
Well, you heard it a little bit on local radio and local TV shows today. They were almost reluctant to get up for this game. And quite honestly, I'm going to say it again, Adrian, the crowd's been a little more quiet than I expected.
Here's the cross trying to really quieten the crowd towards DeLeo.
You know, Austin Berry's had a quiet night tonight. You know, there's been 3 or 4 times where he's just a little touch. He's been good. He's also had the confidence to step in the midfield with the ball at his feet. Quietly, Austin Berry's had a good one tonight.
Yep, that was another important touch, albeit at the expense of a corner. Schweinsteiger at the controls. Easy header away for Hildebrandt. Now Juninho, intelligent ball back outside to Alvarez. Alvarez inside, looking to get it on the left foot. Little dinked ball. Campbell, the centre back. Go to work inside the penalty area. Jogging pretty slowly back to his station. Polster. Return ball has Polster on his way. Bone able to remove the danger. Chicago Fire in their 20th year of existence. They won the Open Cup in their very first year. They won the double as an expansion team in 1998. They've won the Open Cup further 3 times since then, but not since 2006. They've had a lot of heartbreak in this competition. They've lost at the semi-final stage for the last 4 years in a row, the Chicago Fire. They've also, in their recent history, experienced upsets. They were knocked out by the Mid-Michigan Bucks in 2012. The Charleston Battery in 2010, and also by the Wilmington Hammerheads in 2009. So that was an awful run of losing to lower division teams for Chicago. Changes for both teams, with Koenig making way. Danny Koenig had run himself ragged tonight, chasing every course, but he makes way for Andrew Wiedemann, another man with plenty of MLS experience in his recent past. Drafted by FC Dallas in 2010. Wiedemann went to Toronto as part of that Julian de Guzman trade a couple of years later.
But he's going to add a different element to this game, though. He's technically a little cleaner than Koenig. He's going to have confidence going against Chicago. You can play into the feet of Wiedemann. He's also going to have legs. But then you wonder as well, are these subs now with maybe penalties in the back of mind of both coaches?
Yep.
This kid's something special when he's gotten an opportunity to play this year in MLS. Daniel Johnson is not scared to take on anyone.
Yeah, Johnson was the fire switch, wasn't he? And he was the first-round pick in the Super Draft this year. Of course, he went to college just down the road from here, the University of Louisville. Good work, Nikolic. And it was a handball off the rebound against the Hungarian striker, who, by his lofty standards, he's had a pretty quiet night. Had that one great chance just past the hour mark.
Well, and you knew it would be that kind of a frustrating night for Nikolic with three center backs, that their whole purpose is limiting balls into the channels, balls into those seams in the space for Nikolic. But that one opportunity he had, Hildebrand came up with a bigger save.
Daniel Johnson, who's only come off the bench in MLS play, he's appeared as a substitute 6 times. And as you said, Taylor, caught the eye. 2 years at Maryland as well as the University of Louisville. Originally from Duluth, Georgia. Final minute of the first half of extra time. The crowd bringing the noise. Solignac trying to stretch them down the left-hand flank. Matt Boehner sticking with it. Little exchange of passes. Alvarez threatening to slash through. He might have opened this up. The shot is on, and a big save from Hildebrandt. The flag never came up, and Nikolic was the man he denied again.
How good is this from Arturo Alvarez? That one cut loses both defenders, but then to flick it up over the head of Hoyt. This is on a platter from Nikolic. And if somehow FC Cincinnati leaves here as a winner, that man right there will be in the nightmares of Nikolic all night long. He has come up with 2 big saves.
There's Johnson going to work inside the penalty area. Electric burst from him. Johnson looking for the shot. Nothing opening up. The curler is just too high. And it was Alvarez with the left foot, and the Fire ends the first half of extra time firmly on the front foot.
Yeah, it's one too many touches from Daniel Johnson, because Alvarez is open about 3 or 4 seconds earlier, but Alvarez put on a clinic the last 30-40 seconds of that first extra time.
Well, contrast the emotions in the fans. Those were 2 great shots back to back. The anguish on the faces of the Fire fans, and the almost bewildered delight on the faces of the Cincinnati fans. Opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. Alan Koch knows his team in many ways are playing with house money here. They've beaten the Columbus Crew, they've taken the Chicago Fire the distance.
But the couple subs he's made, in particular, the kid from Colgate, Jimmy McLaughlin, has done a wonderful job of coming into this game and turning it on a dime. And you can see the frustration and the anguish and the anxiety on Veljko Paunovic's face because, you know, Jimmy McLaughlin's come in this and given them a different element. They didn't have it the first 45, 60 minutes, and you could tell he came out after regulation. He's waving the crowd, he's pumping the crowd up, he's not scared of the moment. Corbin Bones had a couple opportunities, but Adrian, you're right. This group right here, they've done everything you do in these games. It's a one-off game against a deeper club, a more talented club. So what do you need? You need your goalkeeper to come up with big saves. Hildebrandt's done that. You need your defenders to step up in big moments. Delbridge, Austin Berry, they've done that. But now when they do get that one opportunity, they've got to put it away and send these 33,000 fans home happy.
Well, again, you can see the Cincinnati players and the coaching staff gathering in the circle as they did before the start of extra time. Alan Koch delivering his message. The final push. The final 15 minutes. Miami FC of the NASL awaiting in the quarterfinals. New England have booked a spot in the quarterfinal as well. They're a team with recent pedigree. They reached last year's final, remember. They've beaten DC United. Extra time also at Red Bull Arena between New York and Philadelphia. Nemanja Nikolic has been scoring goals for fun in MLS. It's been kept at bay here in the Open Cup by Mitch Hildebrandt. He has 15 more minutes to try and change that.
And what we saw the last, I'd say, 3 or 4 minutes of that extra time, when Daniel Johnson came in, all of a sudden he and Arturo Alvarez were playing off the shoulders of Corbin Bone and Quinn. So now they've got to be very careful because Daniel Johnson's got the freedom. Obviously he's come into this one, go find the game, just be a nuisance, try to create something going forward. Both Bone and Quinn have to have their head always turning, always aware of where Daniel Johnson is, and in particular Arturo Alvarez.
Aching muscles, tired minds.
Oh, come on.
Fortune favors the
brave. For the Open
though.
Cup, what are you talking about?
Schweinsteiger. Vincent hemmed in, he's done well to pick out Schweinsteiger. And this little slip pass caught Johnson a little unawares. Let's go down to Julie.
Adrian, I spoke with Chicago's coaches who said that FC Cincinnati's goalie is just playing out of his mind. We can't give up. We have to keep getting traffic into that final third. He said they're putting a lot of people behind the ball. We have to keep trying to play between the lines.
Well, it's the classic recipe, isn't it, for a cup upset? You always need a goalkeeper to come up big.
Well, in playing between the lines, we saw that last 3 minutes. It's Daniel Johnson, that's Arturo Alvarez. They have the freedom to come inside and try to get in these moments right here.
And here is Johnson trying to create another moment. He's allowed to go into the penalty area almost unencumbered. It's back to him from Nikolic. They want to get the ball on the feet of Johnson. Polster. Alvarez. Chinking run past 2, past 3. Alvarez for the fire to the byline, but he just went past one too many defenders, or tried to. And the last obstacle was Delbridge. He wasn't going to get around him.
Well, and my question here is, when Delbridge makes his tackle, does this ball go off of Alvarez?
Looked that way, didn't it?
It did.
Corner, though, is the decision.
That space in this near post right in front of Quinn. That's where Schweinsteiger's trying to get in front of him just for a little flick.
Alvarez delivering. Hildebrandt, a little uncertain.
A little uncertain, Adrian. He looked extremely nervous. What a ball in from Alvarez.
Well, now could the break be on? It doesn't quite spin Cincinnati's way. They have it now with Wiedemann.
Well, that's a great play from Wiedemann. Keep possession, get numbers forward.
Here's that man McLaughlin again. It's his favorite position on the pitch, it seems. Josu, cross near post towards Wiedemann. Nice triangles from Cincinnati. They've wonderfully worked it. Oh, it's sensational! But the offside flag is up. It's not going to count. They don't know it yet. The flag is up. The assistant on the far side. Bewilderment for FC Cincinnati. But an immediate decision on the far side, and the crowd is still celebrating.
Well, and a yellow card's given to Andrew Wiedemann for taking his jersey off. This is close. My initial reaction was it's not. But watch that step. See that step? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And it's so difficult because that camera isn't completely over that 18. But, Adrian, you watch Jonathan Campbell. His first step is behind right here. See that step and that shoulder? From that angle, you can see it. When this ball's played, as we slowly run that, I think he's on.
It was fine.
It was so close, but Jonathan Campbell's first step deep made that closer than it needed to be.
Yeah. Classic instance where perhaps, dare I say it, VAR could have sorted it out. Of course, it would have been a reviewable incident with a goal having been scored.
And the key is with VAR is the question is, was it clearly wrong?
Yes.
That's the question.
And there has to be.
And it has to be clearly wrong. So then the referee can go back to the check. He looks at it, but here's the freeze point. When that ball's played from Corbin Bone, that's your freeze point right there. I look at that line, that back shoulder of Jonathan Campbell. Now the ball's played. He's on.
It's so close, it's so tight, isn't it? And you understand any assistant referee getting that
agreed.
wrong. You understand it totally.
And the reason why is because Jonathan Campbell is blocking the assistant referee's angle.
Yep.
So split second, that's why, honestly, that's why VAR should be in the game. Does it make the game better, Adrian? The answer is yes.
Almost impossible for the human eye to discern it. With players moving in opposite directions, you've got to keep an eye on the moment the ball is played. But FC Cincinnati have had quite some moment taken away from them, but they press on regardless. Wiedemann, who had the ball in the back of the net, chasing it down. Well, what a range of emotions for that man. He thought he'd scored the biggest goal in the short history of the club. He was still celebrating, not knowing the flag had gone up. A scoop pass over the top, that was clever. Flick on, not quite as clever. Corbin Bone, it was Kadim who raced in to win it. And in fact, the foul given against Kadim. Not quite sure how he was the aggressor there, but that was the decision from Hilario Grajeda. Well, utterly absorbing spectacle, Alan Koch.
Well, and he'll be asked after the game, right? One, about the calls, remind you, Kappelhoff, the handball for a penalty, then the offside call here. But two, he's going to also be asked, listen, why didn't you start Wiedemann, McLaughlin, and Corbin Bone? And in his defense, he could say, well, I waited for this opportunity, and they've come in and completely changed the game. And the energy, the tempo, everything is on FC Cincinnati's side right now.
It has all worked out quite masterfully for Alan Koch. And had that goal stood, of course, that would have been the crowning moment of the master plan. But as it is, it's still a pretty good scenario. One he certainly would have taken before kickoff. This is Wiedemann making things happen again. McLaughlin, Jimmy McLaughlin, but Lampson making it look easy. They're continuing to find ways to pierce this Chicago defensive armor, aren't they? FC Cincinnati. This game has swung one way than the other in the extra time period. Chicago with brief periods of dominance. FC Cincinnati coming right back at them. Now it's Chicago's turn to ask the question. Schweinsteiger. Well short of the intended target there, which was Polster. Schweinsteiger eluding one challenge, asking Vincent to join the attack. Four awaiting the cross from Vincent. In it comes. Austin Berry. Schweinsteiger. Outside of the foot. Matt Polster. Oh, Hoyt slipped. A bit of pinball for a moment. No one quite sure where the ball had gone. The Cincinnati defense seeking some shelter here from the brewing Chicago firestorm. Alvarez. Well, he'd held his run in check. Josu wasn't aware that that was indeed the case and conceded the corner unnecessarily. So Hildebrand will have to get his defensive troops marshalled once more. 115 minutes, and these two teams still to be separated. Alvarez trying to do that. Hildebrand, good punch this time. It's great work from McLaughlin on the edge of his own penalty area. Super work. Not only in terms of the defense and the attack, but then perhaps a rush of blood to the head from halfway
Stay in
line.
your lane, Jimmy. You've done all that hard work. You got two teammates on the opposite side making that long run. But you want to play with guys that are up for the moment. You want to play with guys that have a chip on their shoulder with something to prove. That man right there has done that tonight.
Yeah, with the curtain raised on the national stage, he has answered the call. Now then, Johnson has had some moments for himself. Can he produce another? Well, what he has got is a corner. Matt Boehner, who's also been mighty impressive. There he is, a Cincinnati native. Went to college here as well. Played right here at the University of Cincinnati. Not on this field, though. He was quick to point out yesterday. Delbridge away. Alvarez time to settle and drive it towards goal. The follow-up effort is harmless enough. Quick throw as well. Has
Wiedemann's on. He's on.
He's onside this time. Wiedemann, can he get there first? He can't. Lampson sweeping up some 20 yards outside his own penalty area. And all the while, the clock continues to tick. Polster. Alvarez outside of the foot. No problem at all for Mitch Hildebrandt. Second division, FC Cincinnati on the verge of taking high-flying Chicago Fire for Major League Soccer to penalties. Place in the quarter-final of the Lamar Hunt Open Cup. Still tantalizingly within reach for both teams. Johnson, more good work from him, and he's going to see the play called back for the initial infringement. just takes one moment of magic, one tragic error. And at this stage, of course, there'll be no coming back from it. That's Kadim up against Campbell. Alvarez. Almost automatically inside on just left foot. Johnson has released Schweinsteiger. Chance here! Oh, and Hildebrand just got a fingertip to it, I believe, to take it away from Solignac.
Well, and you could just see Schweinsteiger top of your screen. Great ball from Daniel Johnson to play with the right pace so Schweini can hit this first time. Going to be a real hard argument to not make Hildebrand the man of the match. I mean, what is that, 4 saves?
Not many would disagree at this stadium. He may have one last piece of work to get through as Alvarez kills it in. Hildebrand didn't get there. Will he be punished? No! He's able to recover.
Absolutely standing on his head right now. Coming off his line, misplays it, thrown his body in front of it. He is standing on his head.
Away come FC Cincinnati. It's a long chase here for McLaughlin, but he has the legs. Help arriving. Jimmy McLaughlin around one challenge. McLaughlin going.
Oh, what a save!
Oh, Lampson. He almost duped the keeper there, going near post, but Lampson was equal to the task.
And Lampson says, anything you do, Mitch, I got one better. God, for a split second, you felt like Lampson was leaning the other way. Coming up with a massive save in the 120th minute.
He was able to readjust and pour it aside. Now McLaughlin's corner. We are past 120 minutes, and that is that. FC Cincinnati have taken the Chicago Fire to penalty kicks here. Jimmy McLaughlin, who has had some quite sparkling moments, some razzle and some dazzle from him, and he could have won it late on with almost the last kick of the game, but the two goalkeepers, Taylor, what a story. Mitch Hildebrand in your picture at one end, Matt Lampson at the other, and of course the goalkeepers will now become very much the focus as the two teams will gather their thoughts, gather their wits about them, take a pause for breath and head towards penalties.
Well, in all of us in the soccer world will always have the argument about 0-0 game having it all, but this game has had it all. And even just go to those two missed calls. You start with the handball from Kappelhoff. The ball hits him in the right arm, then hits him in the left arm here. I think that's a handball. His arm's away from his body, the intent. You can make an argument that he moves it out with the intent, and then the offside call. Corbin Bone in a great spot. Jonathan Campbell takes one step deep. Now he's got Andrew Wiedemann on that shoulder. That is so close, but at the top of your screen, that assistant referee cannot see through the back of Jonathan Campbell. That's how difficult that call is, but this game has had it all. And how about the goalkeepers, by the way?
Yeah, it was such a smart finish from Wiedemann. The only shot that has beaten either of the two goalkeepers tonight. Matt Lampson has really come up trumps, and Match Hildebrand and you know, the fans, I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? The fans can scarcely believe what they are seeing. Let's listen in on the coin toss between Juninho and Austin Berry.
That's a smart decision from Austin Berry. If you're going to take it anywhere, we're going to take it right in front of the Bailey.
Yeah, has to be.
See, now the question is on penalties, Adrian, is where's the momentum, not with necessarily the takers, but the goalkeepers. And so here I was in the 115th, 118th minute saying, you know what? Hildebrand's been the man of the game. Bar none, 4 or 5 quality saves. He stood on his head the entire night. And so you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go into this penalty kick shootout, and the confidence is there. He's had a couple easy saves. He's gotten his touches. He's had luck go his way a little bit with deflections. That's a great save. That one's an easier one, but the saves at the end. I mean, how about that save? That Nikolic does everything he can. He's throwing his body in front of everything. So there you are. You're sitting there saying, you know what? Hildebrandt's got the momentum. But that last save at the end of the game for Josh Sampson is a huge momentum swing, because now it gives Lampson a little bit more, I'd say, I don't know, some confidence going in, because he had fewer touches than Hildebrandt. And yes, he made a save on Corbin Bone. This save's unbelievable, because watch Josh Lampson. He's leaning one way to come back on that near post. That's a big save right before the penalty kick shootout for Josh Lampson to gain some confidence.
Neither of these goalkeepers have conceded a goal in this tournament yet this year. Mitch Hildebrandt, 3 consecutive 1-0 wins coming into tonight. Now this 0-0. Matt Lampson.
I love when goalkeepers do that, by the way. What are you saying to him?
Yeah.
Good luck. I hope you miss all 5.
That's like poker players wishing each other luck. They never mean it. So who can answer the call here? Who can hold their nerve? This story of FC Cincinnati that just runs and runs. And will it ever have another chapter? They've put themselves in the perfect position here. It'll be Aidan Quinn, who was brave enough to step up first. Wonderful contributions he made in midfield today. A 25-year-old midfielder will open up this penalty shootout. Quinn has put it over the top. Not the start that FC Cincinnati were looking for.
When he gets Lampson going the wrong way, but this is when heavy legs, tired legs come into play.
He'll be consoled by his teammates, but he's going to need some help now by his goalkeeper. Goalkeeper has provided so much and denied that man twice goal-scoring opportunities during the run of play. Can Hildebrandt complete the hat-trick here against Nikolic, or will it be a return to form for Nikolic? He's 2 for 3 from the penalty spot in MLS.
And he prefers going to the right. So now the question is whether or not Hildebrandt did his homework or Nikolic just changes it.
Nikolic is saved! He had done his homework! Hildebrandt pouring it aside, and the damage of the early miss repaired.
Well, the question is, do you do your homework? Do you watch a little tape? Nikolic wants to go to his right. Hildebrandt did his homework. Nothing is getting by Mitch Hildebrandt at the moment.
Now Josu is next for FC Cincinnati, the new arrival here, the Spaniard from the Barcelona Academy, Josu! Well, that's what they teach him at La Masia. Cool and calm.
Technically, that penalty was perfect. Opened up the hits, got Lampson going the wrong way, buried it. This is where that crowd behind Hildebrandt, everyone in the Bailey, can be so imposing for the Chicago Fire here.
Now, a man who was once upon a time the teammate of Nikolic in Hungary, Arturo Alvarez. He'll be left-footed too. What can he do? Alvarez for Chicago. It's saved by Hildebrandt again! And they are dreaming here in Cincinnati.
I feel like I'm watching the Confed Cup semifinal from earlier today. Claudio Bravo made every save for Chile, and Mitch Hildebrandt, you just can't get it by him right now. Coming up massive in front of the home crowd.
Can Delbridge take advantage? He can, as cool as you like. And FC Cincinnati are sitting pretty with a 2-0 advantage. They've taken a penalty more, remember, but they are in great shape. It's Bastian Schweinsteiger who is going to step up, and
wasn't it in, I think it was in Euros, wasn't it last year? He tried to go upper left The quarterfinal.
Missed the penalty against Italy, didn't he?
He did.
Shootout.
Yep.
What will Schweini do here? Schweinsteiger for Chicago. Oh, right down the middle. And Chicago needed that. But still advantage Cincinnati. Well, Jimmy McLaughlin. From the spot, McLaughlin! Well, he finally has a goal. His efforts certainly deserved one. And it's a goal that puts Cincinnati closer to a place in the quarterfinal.
When you're talking about the momentum of the goalkeepers, Matt Lampson's guessed wrong on every single penalty by FC Cincinnati.
Juninho. Now Juninho has to score. Juninho against Hildebrand. And Hildebrand has done it again! It is sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero. And the underdogs have prevailed once again. Absolutely astonishing, Taylor. What a goalkeeping display by Mitch Hildebrand. In the run of play and then in the penalty shootout, nothing was going to get past him.
The game of his life. The game of his life. 2016 USL Goalkeeper of the Year. He did a wonderful job on these penalties of guessing right but staying composed. Reading that last second, whatever it was, Juninho's hips, his form. But if you're going to overcome the odds, if you're going to overtake a team that's deeper, more talented than you have to have a performance like this from a goalkeeper. Mitch Hildebrand has had the game of his life, and he's right now with our Julie Stewart-Banks.
Thanks so much, Taylor. Mitch, congratulations. 3 saves in penalties and some huge saves for 120 minutes. How do you explain being so dialed in tonight?
No, credit goes to these guys. These guys ran around for 120 minutes. I just had to stand back here and make saves. They bailed us out more than I did, so credit goes to the 11 on the pitch for sure.
Chicago's a team that has won this tournament 4 times, or one of the top teams in MLS. How did your team push them to this point?
Oh yeah, they're flying. They're flying right now in the MLS, and I mean, we just believe in ourselves, you know. We have an MLS quality team here. We have an MLS quality stadium. We have an MLS quality fans, as you can tell. And everybody here deserves us. This city deserves us.
There's some subs in the second half with Corbin Bone and Andrew Wiedemann and Jimmy McLaughlin. How did they change the dynamic of this game?
Yeah, Corbin coming on was huge for us. He kept the ball for us, and we were able to move the ball and keep it around, make them run. Wiedemann came in and busted his butt. So those guys... it's going to be a good day tomorrow for sure.
Well, it's a good night right now. Congratulations, Mitch. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I'm not sure Mitch is going to have to buy a beer ever again in Cincinnati. That's the first live interview anyone's ever done standing on their head.
The keys to the city handed out to Mitch Hildebrand. He bailed him out in front of the Bailey. What a goalkeeping display. What a story for FC Cincinnati. The side from the USL are into the quarterfinals of the US Open Cup. Stick around. Sports Center coming up next.